This is my visual representation of 2020. Hey guys, my name is Yasmina and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to give you a tour of my latest finished sketchbook that took me the entire of 2020, literally the entirety of 2020 to fill. And so I think of this as a very good representation of the year 2020 because it was a mess. So I really struggled in 2020 to do art and finish the sketchbook for multiple reasons, in which I go into in the tour. But yeah, if you're curious to see what's in this sketchbook, or really it's more of an art journal to be honest, stay tuned and let's get into the sketchbook tour. Okay, here we are, my fourth sketchbook. As usual, I usually put specifications of these sketchbooks. Just to give you an idea of what kind of sketchbook this is called the Leuchtrrum 1917. It is an A5 size with brilliant white paper and 180 GSM paper weight. And it has 96 pages. Now, I'll be honest, I've had difficulties using this sketchbook, so I will talk more about that as we go along. I can say this is my least favorite sketchbook that I've used so far. So as you can see on the cover, I decorated with a BT21 sticker and one of these, I don't know what it's called, like label makers. And on the back, I have a Stranger Things sticker and a little sushi sticker. So yeah, it has a nice little band, and actually I just wanted to show you that it's pretty thick. It is a thick boy. If I leave it like this, it just kind of tends to open up by itself. So it's nice that it does have the elastic band. So let's see what is inside. This is something I really like to do, is adding a little pocket, an inside pocket for stickers and whatnot. But I put these stickers here and then I never ended up using them. So I have these 3 stickers here. I have one of Yoongi, one that is a sticker I made after a drawing, and then a Pokemon sticker. This one I really like as well. This is also a sticker that I made from a drawing that I made, which I think is really cool. So as you can see, I started this sketchbook in January of 2020 and I just finished it in December of 2020. So this is why I said this is a representation of the mess that 2020 has been. For me at least. I think this sketchbook is representative. And because I didn't particularly like the paper in the sketchbook, I struggled quite a lot this year to actually paint anything. So I considered just not finishing it, but I'm kind of a completionist, and if I finish something, I like to try at least and finish it. So I did manage to finish it, but it did take me the entire year. So that's that. But the year did start off strong. I was like, this is gonna be it. I put so much effort into decorating it. I thought it was like a really pretty sketchbook and I wanted to make it a really, really nice sketchbook. And so I started with some art goals. As you can see here, I said, have fun, practice drawing people, experiment with different mediums, journal, stick things in. Don't be afraid to be messy. Draw more things that I love. Draw more animals. Take the sketchbook with me everywhere. That didn't end up happening because I pretty much didn't leave the house the entire year, so that's fun. Don't rush, but also don't worry too much. Draw more original art. Let loose and don't be afraid to make mistakes. After all, mistakes are just happy little accidents. These are all really nice things to consider when planning your sketchbook. However, I can't really say I've succeeded in most of these. I have journaled. I think this is more of an art journal than it is a sketchbook at this point, because I did use it more as a visual journal, as you will see. I did not draw people at all. I don't think I drew a single person. I did experiment with mediums, but that is also because this sketchbook does not take watercolor or gouache, which are 2 of my favorite mediums, and so I kind of had to experiment with different other things that would actually take in the sketchbook. And yeah, just a simple little landscape, nothing special. I tried one new medium. Well, it wasn't that new. I have tried charcoal before, but I tried to do it in, I think, a different way. And I do quite like the way this little lily turned out. I think it's quite nice. I got a new set of charcoal pencils, so I decided to try it out. This is a little quote, or not a quote, I think it's just a part of one of my books that I wrote on a different notebook because I was out and about and I found it randomly and I just decided to stick it in here because, like I said, I did use this more as an art journal than an actual sketchbook, but you can use these as you wish. I think here I got some new paints, and I also used to doodle a lot while playing Dungeons and Dragons. I have some like notes from the playing session, and I think this is also something to do with a Dungeons and Dragons session. I think my character had a bat cat, but it's been such a long time so I don't remember. Here, the only trip that I took at all this year was a Vue conference in Amsterdam with my work. It's like a front-end development conference, and they had a lot of stickers. So I took a lot of stickers and I put some stickers into my sketchbook. And then Map of the Soul 7 came out in February, so I had to commemorate this because it is such a great album. And this is also from that trip in Amsterdam. I had a separate notebook in which I doodled stuff during the conference, and I also went to the Van Gogh Museum, and so I just decided to make like a journal scrapbook page of that trip because I didn't know it at the time, but it would be the one and only trip that I would take in 2020. RIP. These are a couple of doodles that I did for my book because I do want to try to make some art related to my book, and these are just kind of like very loose sketches, mostly ideas, to be honest, that I haven't done much with yet, but I will do. Same here, I kind of tried to come up with some cover concepts for the cover of my book. You might have seen the proof cover that I made. This is after that I was trying to come up with even more ideas for the cover, and so I kind of just doodled some ideas. Same here, same kind of thing. These are kind of like scenes from the book that I was trying to visualize so that maybe I can make an actual drawing of them. It didn't really work out, but I just laid down some ideas. I don't remember what this was about. Then this again is some D&D doodles and Bang Bang Con, the BTS online stream came out around that time, I guess. This is from a board game. It's called the Exit games, which are basically like escape room games, but in board game forms. And I played quite a few of those this year, actually. I just decided to put one of the images in here because you're supposed to destroy these games, destroy the materials that are given to you, and so this is one of those materials that otherwise I would have thrown out, so I just decided to stick it in here. This is my visual representation of 2020. I did do quite a bit of sort of abstract, intuitive art in this because I was so uninspired this year. I was really, really uninspired to do anything original or try to make anything that looks good. I don't know how to explain it, but I was much more drawn to just intuitive art. And I know that's not something for everyone, but I really like, it's very therapeutic to do it. And I do think that sometimes it does turn out really nice to look at as well, but these are just doodles in a sketchbook. Same with here. This is how my 2020 went. How about yours? This, I think, is, just something that I found in a magazine that my husband was reading, and, well, I cut it out and put it in my sketchbook because it's BTS. And I guess Stay Gold, the Japanese track, came out around that time. Some messing around with acrylics because at this point I think I had realized that watercolor was not working in the sketchbook at all. Actually, I forgot to mention it because I tried to do this in watercolor, and as you can see, it looks terrible. This paper is just not made for watercolor, and I mean it's not, like, it tells you that it's not, but even sketchbooks that are not made for watercolors can still take watercolor decently, like the Moleskine one that I used as my first sketchbook. That was actually decent. This is not. This is really, really bad with watercolors. I think at this point I kind of realized I can't use watercolors in this, which makes me really sad because watercolors are one of my favorite mediums. So I switched to acrylics, which is fine because I wanted to learn how to use acrylics anyway, but I think I'm more limited with acrylics just because I'm not as experienced in using acrylics. But again, I was stubborn and I really wanted to use this sketchbook and to finish it. Here again, I just kind of stuck some things in from when we went to the zoo. It was like an open safari. I think this was during the summer because they had big discounts because it's like a big open space, so it was fine to actually go to. When quarantine was lifted for the first time in Denmark during the summer, it quickly went back. This is around the same time we went to the Aarhus Museum here in Aarhus, and it's a beautiful art museum, and I took my sketchbook with me. That was the only time I think this entire year that I actually took my sketchbook with me anywhere, and I tried to just kind of roughly sketch some concepts that I liked, some compositions mainly that I liked. You know, it was just some quick sketches, nothing serious. And then I tried to replicate a Van Gogh painting that I like. I really like Van Gogh. I think I've talked about him before on my channel. He is one of my favorite painters, and since I went to the Amsterdam Van Gogh Museum at the beginning of the year, I have a lot of resources on Van Gogh, and I really would like to try more of his art style because I really love it. This didn't turn out great. This was a nice day out. I remember we went to the sea. It was pretty empty, but there were these paragliders. They had these very colorful parachutes, but unfortunately I didn't color this piece, so it is just black and white. So more of my feelings during COVID. And this, I think, is already towards the end of the year when I started to pick the sketchbook up more and actually tried to paint more. This is actually one of my favorite spreads in the sketchbook. There aren't that many. I'll be honest, there aren't that many, but this is one of them. With this one, I was mainly inspired by Klimt's work. He works a lot with gold in his paintings, and I just decided to try some very basic gold tint paintings, and I quite like the way this looks. Like I said, this is one of my favorite spreads. This was a cool riddle that I received in a fantasy book box, and I just decided to stick it in my sketchbook. It says, "It wears a leather coat to keep its skins in working order, escorts you to other realms without a magic portal." What do you think that is? I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a book. It took me longer than I would like to admit to figure that out, but the answer is a book. Again, this is my mental state during 2020. This is a very simple representation of when BTS's B album came out. I made a list of all of my favorite songs that I listened to this year, and I tried to rank them. It's not really possible. I cannot rank songs. There were too many good songs that came out this year, at least that I like to listen to. So, you know, I just wanted to have some fun with that. This is a quote from Life Goes On by BTS. "Like an echo in the forest, the day will come back around, as if nothing happened. Yeah, life goes on." A very fitting song and fitting lyrics for this year. And here is right at the end of the year when, again, I kind of tried to do a little more original art, paint more, try more acrylics. I really got into acrylics around this time, and so there are more things that I like starting from here. These are not the best, but this is where I kind of started improving, and this is one of my favorite spreads in the sketchbook. Maybe my favorite. This painting right here on the left, I think is my favorite painting in this entire sketchbook. Again, there are not a lot of those. So I really like this painting, and I really like this kind of style, overlapping sort of square-ish brush strokes on top of each other. I really love the effect that this gives, and you'll see that I've tried to play around with this more later on as well. And then I attempted to paint my Christmas tree. I don't particularly like the way this turned out. It exists, I guess. This is a bit more abstract art. I really like the way this turned out. Again, as you can see, I tried the sort of squarish brush strokes again, but I think I just like the contrast of the colors in here and the kind of lay of all the colors. I think this is nice to look at, personally. And I drew some art supplies and a little bird. Then some more acrylic kind of abstract art. I named this rug because it reminded me of a rug. That is the story of that. And something I didn't mention yet, another reason why I did not like the sketchbook, I don't know how well this shows up on camera, but all of these pages where I tried to border off paintings with washi tape, every single time the paper ripped. And in some places, like, really ripped. And this has not happened to me in any other sketchbook. It's not the washi tape, it's the paper. It just is not, for me, it's for what I need, this is not good paper. Every single one of these paintings that are bordered off are ripped around the edges, unfortunately, which is really not nice. As I stuck in a sticker that I made from the book cover that I made for my book. This is one version. This is in a different color than the one I showed on my actual proof. That proof was kind of like a greenish blue. This is, you know, an orange. I've tried many different colors of this cover and I'm still not quite sure which one I prefer. I don't think the green one turns out so well in print form. I think it looks good on a screen, but not so much when it's actually printed. So I'm gonna have to experiment with that and try to find a different color. And this right here, Roll a Destiny Check, is something that relates to this book right here. More acrylic paintings. Like I said, I really like this effect and I tried to experiment a bit more with it, and I think I really like this one. I like the contrast from the colors, and this one as well. The other ones I think are a bit too muddy, don't look as good, but I think these two are quite nice. And again, one of my favorite spreads in this sketchbook, and unsurprisingly it is almost at the end of the sketchbook, but I do really like these two paintings, especially this one. I think this one turned out pretty cute, and I tried to make the sky in a specific way. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I quite like the way that turned out. And then since I'm filming this right after Christmas, these are just some Christmas related things, what I received for Christmas. And at this point I was so done. I just wanted to finish the sketchbook as quickly as possible. So I was just randomly doodling things and not really thinking too much about what they are. I just wanted to get through the sketchbook. As you can see, I just completely gave up here and I just stuck in a bunch of things, BTS stickers, and then the final spread in the sketchbook is a very representative one. 2020 was a hot mess. Good riddance. Lol, bye. But yeah, I mean, that is it. Peace out. I did not like the paper in the sketchbook very much. As I already said, I did not like the sketchbook, and I'm really, really glad it is done so I can move on to something else. I know a lot of people do like the sketchbook, and I can see why it can work for some people, but just from the way I like to work, it's just not for me. If we were to look at the sketchbook, there's not that many things in here that I like, but the first spread I like is this one, and this is almost at the middle of the sketchbook, so everything before this is kind of trash, and then I like this one. This one I think is my favorite. I really like the colors, and also I just really like these two paintings. And then this one, almost at the end. I think this spread is also really nice. But yeah, that was my 2020 sketchbook. This was a mess, as was this year. So I think actually this turned out into a nice kind of time capsule of what 2020 was for the world and for myself. So, you know, here's to a better 2021 and a better sketchbook. And on that note, I have decided that my next sketchbook will be a much, much shorter one. Look at this. So I have the sketchbook that is 20 pages. 20 pages, so like 40 pages double-sided. That's how I like to work. So, you know, 40 pages compared to 180 pages that this was. So I feel like I need something quick and easy to get through. The paper in this I don't think will suit me either, but it is a much shorter sketchbook, and I want something that I can finish quickly and not care too much about ruining, because, you know, this was also like a pretty expensive sketchbook. This one is really cheap, and so I don't really care so much. But I think the other thing with this one is because it was a more premium sketchbook, I also felt more pressure on what I put into it, which hindered me from actually using it most of the year and not being happy with the things that I did end up using it for. Anyway, I will tell you more about this when I actually fill it, because I just put some stickers on. I have not done anything in it yet, but I think I need some short sketchbooks next. So yeah, there you have it. That was my 2020 mess of a sketchbook, and a really nice time capsule, I think, of this year. I do hope you enjoyed looking through my sketchbook and, honestly, my art journal and my mental health progression throughout 2020. It was a journey. It was definitely a journey. But let me know if you saw anything in here that you particularly liked. I would like to know if there's anything in here that you liked. And yeah, if you kept a sketchbook during 2020, how did that go? Did you find that you used it more as kind of a coping mechanism, or did you, like me, find that you used it a lot less? Let's switch back to a different me to do the outro for this video. So there you have it. That was my 2020 sketchbook. Yeah, it exists. So I will keep this forever as a memory of 2020 and everything good and bad, let's be honest, mostly bad, that went along with it. But that was it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot, and I will see you next time in a new video. Have a great day. Bye!